Welcome, world. You're listening to episode 4 of Concrete and Blossom Podcast. I'm your creator and host, Dawn the Doll, and you're about to experience a garden gathering. In this episode, you'll hear raw clips of open forum discussion. We plant the seed, that's exactly why, where we talk about Black business and customer service. This episode was recorded out of studio in an online platform. It's official, y'all. We're going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Dawn the Doll delivers.
Welcome, world. You're tuned in to Concrete and Blossom, episode 4. I'm your creator and host, Dawn the Doll. And coming on board today is one of our ongoing co-hosts, who is a new friend and partner of mine, Miss LaKendra.
Hi, my name is LaKendra, and I am the owner of Eternal Bliss Hypnosis, and Chance 2. I am very excited to be here today to talk about Black businesses and customer service.
Yes, so LaKendra and I are really excited. We have a wide open platform filled with voices of color, and we're here to inspire Black business series by planting the seed. That's exactly why. And I want us to think of all the reasons why we don't and won't support Black businesses due to customer service issues of any sort. But I also want to hear from our Black business owners on how customers make it more challenging to provide quality service.
So I just want to start by asking this question. So why is it important for us to support Black businesses? Like, out of all of the businesses that we could go to for services, why is it important for us to go to a Black business for our service?
I guess I'll answer that. So I think, let's just take it back to, our past and our history. We've always created our own, right? And I think we were stripped away from that over the centuries. And I think now is that time for us to engage ourselves as a community, to engage the people who look like us, and just get back to that good old, hey, let me help out my brother mentality or my sister mentality. I think we don't have enough of that now currently, but I think the age and what we're in and the climate that we're in currently is starting to bring about that change. And it's just a good feeling to do things for people who look like you. When we deal with so much other stuff in the world, I think just the simplest thing like, hey, let me find an African-American nail tech or somebody who looks like me that does sheetrock, stuff like that. I think that feeling alone will get us to the next pivotal point in America.
I think that for me, it's really important now just because I think we see the destruction that not supporting Black business has done. If nothing more, it's almost like one of those things where it becomes a really, and we're hearing it more, people talk about it more now, it becomes kind of like a fad. It's like, don't let this George Floyd just be another name that is a hashtag. Again, it's like, don't let it just become a hashtag, right? But I think that now more than ever, we're seeing the impact of just having hashtags or only doing it for a little bit of time and then only making a little bit of change, but nothing substantial and nothing sustainable. So I think for me, it's really important to support Black businesses now because it's too detrimental not to.
Okay, let me ask you this, Dawn. So how do we, like you said, a fad, right? So how do we keep that from being a fad? As a people, what do we do to keep that from being a fad?
So more than anything, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, it might have been LaKendra. I think we were talking about just having the open lines of communication. I think not enough people want to talk nowadays. And the things that we want to talk about are not the things that, as we see, matter. They're not the things that are going to, down the long haul and in the long run, be the things that are going to give us any type of different history that's been written for us. So I think for me, the first thing that I can do to try to not make it a fad is actually keep talking about it. I talk a lot. I just got to make sure I'm talking about the right thing, saying the right thing, and putting it out there in a way to where people want to receive what I'm talking about and understand it has to be a lifestyle. It's like, we know all these people like that lose people that do it the right way, they change their diet. They don't eat certain things anymore or all the time as much. You know, they drink more water, whatever that may be. But it's an actual something that they do because the longevity and the reward of it in the long run outweighs because they've done it for so long. The same way we make bad habits and it only takes 21 days to break a habit is the same thing for good habits. So talking about it on a consistent basis in a way that people are actually listening and feel like they're included in it because then they want to be, you know, part of it if they can just call in like this and say what they want to say, you know. So for one, talking about it and not moving on, being intentional about not moving on into the next thing. Like I'm not moving on to whatever it may be until this is fixed. Like just staying here and being accountable to ourselves for making sure that we stay right here. Because we haven't seen any change yet. And that's the truth. You know, we haven't seen change yet. I think that we're getting there. I think that we're going in the right direction. But in order for it not to be a fad, we can't say, oh yeah, we got 40,000 out of 60,000 and 40,000 of them were white people. So that's good. Like it is good. Kudos to them, right? But that's not change yet. So,
Okay.
I think it's important for us to uplift and embrace our own, because it's become so routine and so normal to outsource and to support other businesses. But when it comes to Black business in particular, we're kind of put on the back shelf. And it's been like that for a while. And it's kind of like second pick in a sense. But at the same time, it goes to quality. We have to make sure that we're upholding our brand in its own, because if we don't, then how is it that we demand support when we're not bringing the quality? So it's a lot of different factors when it comes to that. But I think that right now, Black people in general are being put on a pedestal, but we're also under fire at the same time. So it's kind of hard to find the happy median. But we have to be, like you said, be intentional with every dollar we spend, every single purchase that we make, so that we can continue to build, so that this becomes the norm.
Good evening, ladies. I agree with what she's saying. First of all, my name is Jerron. I work in supplier diversity. So let me give you guys a stat that I'll tie into why we need to support Black business. So in supplier diversity, first of all, the initiative was signed in 1969, executive order by President Nixon, of all people. Right? Initially, supplier diversity, at that time in 1969, the country was primarily Black and white. So initially, you know, women were still very heavily oppressed at that time. Not saying that they're not now, but they definitely were then. So initially, supplier diversity initiative helped Black males. Fast forward to 2020, when you think about, because see, what companies will say is, we support diverse vendors. And so what that means in context is, if I'm a racist, you know what I can do in today's world is I can recognize, going back to women being oppressed, WeBe, if y'all have heard of a women business enterprise. I can spend money with a white woman and say that I'm spending money with diverse businesses. It's nothing against gay people, but again, a gay white man is considered a minority. So if I don't like Negroes, I can spend money with a white man and I can report to the government I'm spending money with diverse businesses. You understand? And I'm not, again, nothing against gay people, nothing against women, but the reality is what happens in some of these situations, are there viable women business owners? Absolutely. But there also are front companies where you have a woman on 51% of the company, but you have a white man, her husband, on 49% that's really calling the shots and taking advantage of the contracts. So when I get into space and I do my job and I have on my corporate hat, I'm saying minority, minority, minority. But behind the scenes, I'm saying Black, Black, Black. Because if we don't stick together and if we don't support one another, there's nobody else that's looking out for us. And what we do oftentimes is, so anybody that's been in management or leadership, one of the first things I learned in management was catch people doing things right. Meaning you're going to always coach people on what they do negative, but why don't you reinforce the positive things that they're doing on a daily basis? So what we do as a people, we have one bad experience. We go to Facebook, we go to any other, because, we something else when we get upset and we bash the black business, but we don't do enough to support the black business. Travis made a great point today when he said, if you go to a McDonald's or Papa Do's, whatever, you go to the Papa Do's on 16 at H-Town versus the one over there in Memorial City, you're going to complain about that one on 16, but you still going to go to Papa Do's. You still going to go to Papa Do's and get your Swamp Thing, though. Do the same thing with black business. Don't say all of us are the same, but you have a bad experience. Speak on that bad experience. If God put it on your heart to coach that individual, tell them what they did wrong, and move on. You ain't got to bash them. But we got to stick together. We got to cut out that bullcomb.
Yeah, and something that I know we talked about a little bit when we were doing our prep meeting, Travis, LaQuindra, and myself, is we got on the topic and we talked a little bit about how whenever people go to these places and they don't want to give them a second chance, maybe this was in a previous episode, but whenever they go to these places, they don't want to give them a second chance. But then we go to these other places that we love and we're willing to give them a second chance. And I guess my question too is it really the quality that we're getting from these other places? Or is it a name that is just so ring in our head, so familiar to ourselves? Is it a name that's so familiar to ourselves to where we just held it to this expectation that can't be broken almost? Because it's gonna take a lot for people to not want to eat at Popeyes or a Papa Do's or anyway. And that is gonna take a lot. That's gonna take a lot. But it's not going to take a lot for me not to drive back across town whenever my burger and fries didn't have any seasoning. It's not going to take a lot. It's not. I had to drive a long way. So I think another good question is, how do we then kind of improve that quality of service from a Black business perspective, knowing that we're already starting behind, knowing that we're already starting with all odds against us, and a lot of how do we get into the space of being open to understanding that sometimes our quality may or may not fit everyone, be for everyone, every single time hit the hit on the nail. It's kind of like Gigi said, we have to make sure we have that quality.
I definitely agree that we need to make sure that we're maintaining a certain level of quality when we are presenting our services, because I think that could be a small bit of the problem when sometimes people come to us for services and either we're not giving 100% or we have an attitude when we're working, or it may not be as good as the next. I know I've had my own experiences where I wanted to go all Black business. And what ended up happening was the quality of work that I received was not the same quality as if I would have gone to someone else. And it was mainly because she just didn't know what she was doing. So it's kind of like if you get the proper training, then you will be able to offer the proper services instead of leaving it to where someone has to go to someone else for quality work.
Now that sounds like an issue of training. Something that one of my partners said to me before was, don't become a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I really love that. And I think that is one thing from a business perspective on where we have to start, is we have to pick something that makes us happy. We have to pick our lane and then stay in them and make sure that we can master that lane.
Okay, so to kind of to your point and your question that you were asking about how to improve Black businesses and like where do we go, I think kind of hitting on the pedestal that Black businesses are on right now, I think leaving reviews is a huge opportunity for businesses to improve because they have seen a huge surplus in people going just because of, everything that's happening right now. So I had something else. I just lost it. But yeah, let's reviews right now. I think we need to leave reviews and make sure that the businesses are understanding each customer's experience, and then they will be able to make any changes that they would possibly need to make from there. I think that's step one, is instead of saying that we'll never go back or leaving negative Yelp reviews or getting on Facebook, instead of doing that, just simply leaving a review or letting the business itself know how your experience was as a customer.
I know Victoria has something real quick.
My bad.
She had raised her hand. No, it's okay. There's a hand raise option.
For real? Where?
Yeah. I'm gonna unmute her and let her tell us, because I don't know either. So I'm gonna unmute her and let her tell us.
Hello, can y'all hear me? Okay, hi, the unmute, I'm actually on the phone, so it may look different on your device, but if you look down where it says like participants, stop video, it also says more. And then if you hit that, it allows for a chat option, and then the raise hand.
Oh. Hey.
Oh.
All right.
We learned.
Come on and help us out, sis.
Yes. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? So I want to piggyback off of the beautiful ladies that just spoke. So my first sister, she just mentioned basically training, which what I would say under training would be also business partnership. Let me dive into this a little bit, meaning if I'm a hairstylist and I'm really good at doing hair, that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily a businesswoman. So maybe you should team up with somebody or say get some training management and how to, market and manage your business. So I'm definitely with you, sister. We definitely need to educate and train ourselves. And sometimes just a partnership. Maybe your sister next to you or your brother, really good in marketing and business, and they know how to join people in businesses together. Since I'm out of protocol, I don't have my earphones in.
That's okay.
Don't get me. Don't get me.
What I was going to say real quick. Oh.
For those who joined us a little bit late, if you have headphones, use your headphones. I'm gonna be controlling the mute for the most part. So if you could raise your hand, I'll unmute you guys like as I see them raised. I'm gonna allow for Jerron to go ahead, and then we'll have Kashana and then Travis.
All right, there we go. So real quick, I agree with the ladies' points, and I'll summarize it up real quick to a conference call Travis and I was on last night. Two big things: business acumen, because sometimes what a lot of, and it's not a put down, but what a lot of people that aren't college educated will say is, well, I don't need my education, and I can do this, and I'll agree with them to an extent. You might not need a formal education, but you always need education. It doesn't mean you need to go get a college degree like some of us or an advanced degree like some of us, but you need to be educated from a business acumen standpoint. Coming from a financial background, the next thing I'm going to say is financial literacy. Us as a people, we're on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to financial literacy. So those two things need to happen, because you can be smart as heck, but you can't utilize the business acumen to go get somebody that knows how to do what you don't know. And the next thing is, just because you can get them, can you afford them? So sometimes we place our economic value in the wrong things. You know what I mean? We're focused on, well, I don't want to pay this person that, or they're asking for this much. I don't think it's worth that. When the reality is, if we were to bring them on board, they can help kind of maximize our revenue with the things we don't know about managing a P&L or dealing with the accounting issues, so to speak. Now, to answer your original question, my idea, which you said, what can be done? My idea is, if you look at anything that we do, most of us want to be married. Most of us, I don't care if you're at church, you're trying to be a deacon or a, youth leader, whatever. Typically, we have mentors. Typically, we have people. If you're married, you have other couples that you can rely on to kind of help you about this marriage journey, because it ain't easy. I think we kind of need the same thing in business. I think that we as a people, if we really trying to ride this momentum that we have right now, we need to create support groups where there's safe spaces for people to talk about what they don't know. and for somebody to help them or pray for them instead of talking about them. You know what I mean? And kind of helping people be able to build one another up. Travis runs into this a lot, putting the business out there where people be hating on him, you know, just because he has a good product and he's doing his thing. And so other brothers that might be doing what he's doing, instead of them trying to collaborate, they hate. And that's a prime example of what we don't need. We need to create a space where we can have some unity.
Right. I'm going to let Kashana take the floor. Hey, Kashana, thanks for joining us.
Hey, hey, Dawn. Yeah, to speak on that, so you, from what I'm hearing, for those who lack the education to run a business properly, and they're acknowledging it and they seek that education. But what about when others don't want to help you because they don't want you to one up them, or because I know that's an issue with a lot of Black businesses. People don't want to give, you know, especially out here in Houston, they don't want to give you the information they have because they don't want you to do better. Well, it comes across that way because they don't want you to do better than them. So as a Black community, how do we combat that? And another question is, as far as giving us as consumers, giving feedback on what businesses can do better to better the quality of their services, what if they're not receptive to that, you know, that feedback? Because it's a lot of, like, I got online today on the Black-owned Houston restaurants, and it was inquired about where can I find your location. It's like instead of giving the information, they tell you, oh, you can go, just go Google it. Like, you're trying to bring people to your business. So I think, like, how do you come across to business owners who are not receptive to receiving feedback?
That's a really good question. And right before I turn it over to Travis, I just want to say that he and I have talked about this on our episode. Gigi and I talked about both of those things on our episode. The finding your lane and staying in it, and understanding that it's not a competition with anybody but yourself once you find that lane. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Travis, I'm going to give you the floor.
All right, y'all. Y'all posed a lot of really great questions and everything. I just don't even know where to start. We've had so many conversations with multiple people in this chat room. But I think I'm gonna go back to, I guess, the original question. For me, it's of course, you, like Jerron said, you may have a great product, but I think a lot of times our business owners, they don't know how to properly give that customer obsession. And what I mean by customer obsession is, sometimes we all know how clients in a retail space could be. They could be very demanding. They could get upset. But I think a lot of times us as business owners, or most of us, some of us, they don't know how to handle those unique situations, those one-offs. So whether somebody may tell you, hey, I don't like my product, we need not to get offended, right? Because everything is not for every person. Whereas, there's, for example, myself, there's me and 3 other major funnel cake businesses here in Houston. Of course, the hate part comes with it, but I think for us, somebody may not like the funnel bars funnel cake, and that's totally fine. We have to do our part in offering a great product, quality product with great service, regardless of what the case may be. And just try to, let the customer vent, because a lot of times this is what they want to do. And you try to give your best, solution to whatever they have, whether that be something was undercooked, whether it be, hey, I didn't like the service from your cashier. You need to root cause and try to figure out how to fix that for your interactions later with any other your customers. I think it was Cassandra or somebody that mentioned it. How do we get people to stop hating on people? Jerron posed it greatly earlier. Like, there's several companies here that have, blocked me from social media, whether it be that they saw what I was doing. And you know what? My question for them is, hey, what can I do to help you? To what can I do for maybe, this aspect of the business? Maybe I need help. I look at it like that, and I try not to shun anybody or shoo anybody away, because everybody needs help when it comes to this business thing. Nobody's perfect, but I think it's hard sometimes when you're in the same lane as somebody else, whether it be fried chicken or sandwiches, to just be like, hey, let me go help my brother out. And I talk to my friends all the time. I think it has everything to do with slavery and what we've dealt with for the last 450 years. It's that I don't know if I can say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It's that house nigga, field nigga mentality, where okay, he in there. I see him doing good, so we just gonna say the hell with him because I feel like he doing better than me. And the people on the inside of the house, like I'm gonna leave them field niggas alone because they ain't got what I got. They not on my level because the master put me in the house. So we gonna have to find a way or common ground to meet each other in the middle. And sometimes I try to think about ways to do that, but sometimes I'm at a loss. So I don't know if anybody else can kind of share.
I will. I want to jump in right there. Just because this is something that was at one point something I wanted to do, but it kind of makes me feel like I need to put it back out there. So, Kashana, one thing that we can do is we can, Jerron said, it creates safe spaces for when somebody doesn't know. So one of the things that I'm really good at is I'm really good at editing. So like written editorials, words. I have a thing with wordplay. I'm really good with words. So one of the things that I hope to get from this podcast is being able for people to literally, me and LaQuinn just talked about this, for people to be able to literally say exactly what they mean, how they mean it exactly. And then maybe we can figure out a way to where you don't want to be receptive if they're saying it because she is a Black woman. And when she tell you, it ain't got no fucking seasoning on it. And then, you know, you took it as, oh my gosh, like, who you talking to? But I'm just trying to tell you because I done drove 30 minutes to get here, sis. Like I drove 30 minutes to get here just to taste your fries, but they don't have any seasoning. So I'm a little upset because these are my only fries, right? So, but being able to have that safe space. So one of the things that I'm really working on, Kashana, is being able to create that space. Hit Concrete and Blossom, because we blossom through these difficult discussions to where we can all, you know, blossom and flourish in the end. I think is one way that we can not only combat, but we can really shorten that and close that gap in not feeling the support, even when it's just really constructive criticism. I'm just telling you that you don't have any seasoning, ma'am, because the next person that drive 30 minutes, they might have a big order and you want them to want to drive another 30 minutes next time. So creating the platform. And also, when it comes to the crab in the bucket mentality, is just like Travis said, that house nigga, field nigga mentality. I think that one of the things that we have to learn is that we can, well, that we might know, but that we have to remember is that we can only control our reactions to people. And in those moments that people are misbehaving and acting Black, as the world likes to call it nowadays, those are the moments where it's even more important to really be, number one, pulling people aside, taking time to just send that email. Hey, I'm not sure what your day was like. This is my day was like, but listen, this is what happened. This is how I came at it. This is why I came at it this way. But this would make me not want to frequent your business again. So when somebody's not giving you that help or sharing that knowledge, number one, they will become their own weapon that will be their downfall. They will become their own destructive weapon against themselves, but also calling that out too. Calling that out that, hey, sis, you got your business. You know, I'm trying to do the same thing. It's like, you know, again, we like to call each other, you know, business partners, and I call her my executive assistant and director, and she called me her creative director. But, you know, Miss St. Clair has her whole novelty shop, but yet she still added me to groups to maybe, you know, I could get the same equipment she has, or I could get the same knowledge she has, I could get the same deals that she has. It's all about sharing that stuff. And when people are not willing to share and you recognize that, holding them accountable for that too, because they still part of our Black community.
All right, so this might be controversial, so forgive me ahead of time, but I'm not concerned about your affiliation, whether it be Democrat or Republican. Hear me out. I use President Obama as this example. I don't agree with everything President Obama did or said. Do I think he's a great man? Absolutely. Am I very, very proud of him? Absolutely. But do I agree with everything he says? No. But you know what I don't do? I don't criticize him publicly or openly. And that's not to say that if I had an opportunity, which if I meet him, I'm going to be a groupie. I'm just be honest. But it doesn't mean in the right setting, I wouldn't try to hold him accountable or talk about the issues that I have with certain things that he did. I don't talk about him because it's not like R. Kelly. It's not that kind of wrong where it's like, I need to call it out. It's, I disagree with you politically. This is our one. You understand? So I understand that no group is as bad as, I think I'm saying it right, as bad as their worst or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't like generalize one group like that. That's as if to say all white people are racist. And I don't think that's the case. But I also understand when you have narrow-minded people that are out there like that, someone could have done you wrong, but your open public criticism of it is going to allow those people that have that narrow, small, carnal mind to pounce on that person and be able to exasperate the things that they're critical of them about. So translate that to business. Going back to what I said, I'm not saying if a black business screw you over to take it up the rear end. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is let's change how we approach it. So, Don, if you and I have a relationship, and I don't mean it has to be romantic, I'm just saying we're friends. You don't approach all your friends the same way. There are certain friends that you know, I can cuss Travis' ass out and he gonna be all right. And there are other friends where you kind of like, all right, Jennifer, I ain't gonna talk to her like that. It's not that I'm cowering or I'm kissing her ass. I'm recognizing that either I don't know this about her or I do know that this is not the most effective way to approach her. So let me take some space back, calm down, and then approach the situation. If you follow what I'm saying, I think more of that needs to happen with the black businesses. So with your fry example, you don't know that person. You just know you pissed off because you didn't get what you wanted on your fries. So you reacting, and you're human. So sometimes, let's acknowledge that sometimes you're going to pop off and you're going to mess up, right? But if you do, most of us on here, God-fearing people, let's go back. Let's think about what we should do, not what we did do. And moving forward, let's try to exude those type of behaviors. So let's give the business owner opportunity to correct it. Now, as we talked about earlier, they might not be receptive. Let's stop worrying about that shit right now. That's not your responsibility. You can't re-raise no grown person. You can't make no grown person do anything. But what God is commanding us to do is to speak on what's right. And what's right is right. You are in the service industry. You need to service people. We can't make you change your quality, but I would be remiss or wrong if I saw an opportunity to help you and I kept my mouth closed. So we need to be direct regardless of what the other owners are doing. We need to offer that coaching. If we need to pull them aside, give them an email, call them, offer, sir. Like I do consulting. Travis knows I'm very open to doing an initial free consultation or initial free help to get you to see what I'm saying, show you some success stories, so to speak, kind of get you to trust me, and then from there build a billable relationship. I'm willing to do that if you're willing to listen. If you're not willing to listen and you're not willing to work with me or take advantage of my services, no love lost. You're not the client for me, right? I'm looking for a certain type of client, and it might not be everybody. And I think that, not to say that Jerron's doing it right, that ain't what I'm getting at, but I think we need more of that in the space at the same time to be able to, again, bring this back together and grow this thing.
I think that's really good because I think what you touched on is being more intentional. To sum up, a lot of it is being more intentional. And I know that's one thing that even my friends and family, they get tired of me and that word intentional, because everything is about remaining in such a constant state of consciousness within yourself that you're understanding, yes, I'm upset about my fries, but hey, listen, I'm just asking, can I get an extra salt packet? Maybe I don't have to tell you, oh my God, I drove 30 minutes and these fries like I will never come here again. Now I gotta just ask you for an extra salt packet this time and just consider, maybe y'all just had a rush and y'all had to rush and I just got a rushed meal this time. So, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Well, I think that's become a crutch, especially in Black businesses. You have to take off the hat that you are entitled to a certain level of customer. You have to take off the hat that you're entitled to a certain level of support. Like you don't get a pass. You don't get a pass just because you're Black business. I feel like that is from a business side, but I also feel like on the customer side, I just feel like it's complete trash the way that we want to hold these Black businesses. We know they just started. They only been open for 3 weeks, and I'm expecting them to taste like somebody that's been in business for 60 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's unrealistic. And it's just, you do have to be receptive because I'm trying to make my dollars Black, but I got to have some seasoning. Somebody got to have some salt back there. These fries was bad, y'all. Sorry. Is the customer always right? Gigi.
So I would say the customer isn't always right. But you have to allow that space for them to have an opinion. Because like we stated, everybody's not gonna like your product, and your product isn't for everybody. So it's about making that customer happy, providing some type of satisfaction. If it's something that you can fix, do try and fix that. But if it's something that you can't, you have to be able to have that go to where it's a smooth transition. Like, they understand that you're not the business for them, and you understand that they're not the customer for you. But it's also how we handle those situations too, because we are human. So it could be sometimes we either don't respond or we give an aggressive response to how they feel. So that kind of all ties together with the overall experience with the customer and the view that we get from them as a customer, whether they're Black or not. So all of these little aspects actually come together in, customer service and how we're viewed as a people.
Okay, for me, I guess to kind of piggyback off of what Jennifer stated, I'm gonna ask this question to everybody. Have y'all ever been to a restaurant or whatever, and when they messed up, do you guys expect something for free? Is that like a common theme where people are like, hey, you went to Olive Garden, they messed up on your meal. Do you expect it for free or no?
I expect corrective action.
What do you mean by that?
So some people literally, and I hate to be that guy, but I think it has to do with being Black. They think they can just treat us any kind of way.
Okay.
And I'm not for that. If I'm coming into, see, I can't bring up a classy restaurant like Capital Grill or True Lux or something, because you're going to get a different kind of service, or at least you should.
Right.
When you spending that kind of money. But if we talking about OG, where we like to go,
OG for y'all, that's Olive Garden.
If we talking about OG, okay, low totem pole type thing, I'm expecting you to do something. It ain't got to be free, but I want to see empathy, understand. It depends. If you got a good mouthpiece on you, you can win me over just by being empathetic, apologetic, let me get that steam up off my chest, right?
Got you.
But yeah, something free or taking something off my bill or free, that's just an offering to show, you feel me, and you want to compensate.
Okay.
But it's hard to say yeah in every situation, because every situation ain't the same. And like Don said earlier, sometimes we're unreasonable.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to let Allie take the floor, but I will just say, when it comes to that, that's also the part where I feel like it's a very, very difficult balance, because again, with a Black business, they can't really afford to take off a whole entree when you go to their restaurant, because they just started. So they can't really afford that. That really might hit them harder than it would a larger business. But at the same time, but
I think that's the cost.
The floor.
I think that's the cost of doing business, though. So.
Okay, so when it comes to is the customer always right, I feel like that's such a tricky question, because if we're thinking about Chick-fil-A, whether you're right or not, they're going to make you feel like you're right. So I feel like even if the customer is not right, they should always feel like they're right. And like the gentleman said, as far as corrective action, that is definitely something that needs to always be in place. I think for us, a lot of the times, things that come with criticism, or what comes with criticism, is attitude. And the attitude is then what drives us away and back to the Chick-fil-A's and back to the places where we're, felt like, or we feel like our money is being spent, or well spent rather. So whether the customer is correct or not, I feel like they should always at least feel like they are in the right.
I didn't know if somebody had their hand up or not, so I was waiting. All right. So that goes back to something we talked about earlier when we talk about training. So me and Travis talk about this. Again, not to say we got it all figured out, but you know, we come from the same lane, retail, banking, and then Travis got into some other avenues of retail. So that's some on-the-job learning that you get. I myself have a business education. But there's some on-the-job training that you get, learning in the fire, sink or swim. And then there's some other things, resources that your company provides you. Him with the background at Chase, me with the background at Wells Fargo. And so one thing that I learned that kind of transitions over to how I run my upstart consulting business is, it's not so much the cliche that the customer's always right, but it's trying to learn as a manager of a business how to work in the gray, because everything is not black and white. So a thing that we learned in the banking industry was not to rub policy in your face, because at some point, I know everybody got money now, but at some point you Negroes done overdrafted back in your college days. And you know how they feel going in there trying to ask for an OD refund and you getting hit with the, you can't. And you know good and damn well this cat can. You know what I mean? I've been in a position to have to explain that to clients, you know? And as I got more seasoned in my professionality, if that's a word, I learned how to, at first, those that know me, my personality is very black and white and I'm very blunt. I had to learn how to finesse, so to speak, you know, how to talk to the client to where they felt that I was relating to them and I was empathetic with them and I was not rubbing policy in their face. Because when you got an issue, and ladies, I think you can agree, when you go to your man about something that you feeling, you don't give a damn if it sounds crazy as hell. You want him to understand this is how I'm feeling and this is real to me, nigga. Okay? So I need you to kind of get with it. If you follow the analogy, it's similar from the customer perspective. They just want to vent and they want you to know that they were wronged. So the first thing that comes out of your mouth is they don't want the first thing to be, but this is the policy, because that's dismissive. And that's saying we don't care about how we made you feel. We're not going to take accountability versus, and excuse me, because I'm not trying to say it's manipulation, but I have my staff trained. Even if you know you're going to put a hold on this check, even if you know it's no, come into my office so that the client can see you're trying, you came and you're talking to the manager. I can go out and I can then insert myself in the situation and we can provide a better experience. And that's why I had one of the highest rated customer experience branches in my district. Talking to my teammates and trying to create that culture. So I know we're talking about it, but we've already covered this. This goes back to a lot of our Black businesses are not exposed to the training and the customer-centric line of thinking. They're thinking about, I'm poor, I want to make money, you tripping.
And we have a lot of business owners on this call, so I know you can tell me how you would prefer someone to constructively criticize your business or bring issues to you, things of that nature.
I think for me, of course, I'm in the retail food industry. I think for me, it's just allowing me to be able to fix it. I think we've talked about that throughout this entire time. Like, give me the chance and opportunity to fix the situation before you go blast me on Yelp. Give me a 1-star before you go on Facebook and tell people not to come to my business. I think being able to allow customers to give feedback, so to speak. I mean, maybe you have, us as business owners, maybe we go around and if it's a restaurant setting, talk to people and say, hey, how's everything going? I know a lot of times when we go to those restaurants like Olive Garden, Papa Do's, a lot of times you have a manager that walks the floor and tries to get feedback from customers. And what that's doing to me is that we're trying to stop the situation and put out the fire before it gets bigger. So I think a lot of times we have to make time for that in our business model and our business structure to at least reach out for feedback. Whether people want to give it or not, just say, hey, how was everything today? How's it going? Do you have anything that, we could do better, differently? I think especially when it comes to like food and money, we're going to have to take it upon ourselves not to allow people just to give us feedback, but we're going to have to ask for it. Because that way we can try to like dead some of this stuff before it gets bad. But like I had a situation where a client told me, hey, I didn't like something. but she told me almost 2 weeks later that she didn't like something. So, me, I'm like, well, damn, you didn't even give me an opportunity to fix the situation. So I think it's our job as business owners to create a quality product and to create a customer obsessed environment. But it's also a lot of the responsibility of the client to let us know in an adequate enough time, hey, wasn't really feeling your funnel cake today. Here's why. And like Jerron said, we got to make people feel like, even if you about to tell them, hey, I'm not about to give you no free funnel cake. Hey, we're definitely sorry for that. Be empathetic. Let them know what you're going to do to fix the situation in the future. I think we have to take the lead on that and not allow people to be able to make those comments without talking to somebody first, whether it be the owner, whether it be the cashier, whether it be if you have runners. We have to kind of get ourselves out there. I know as business owners, we wear a lot of hats, right? But we have to say, hey, I got to make time for this because I want to know what people feel about my business so that way I can make it better. And then also, too, to I think your other question, like I have access to some of these people in these groups now. So like, I think it was Alana. I think I'm going to reach out to her to possibly supply the phono bar with novelty goods, right? I have a relationship with Jerron on some consulting things and all, we have a friendship as well. So I think as a business owner, you can't be like, nah, I'm not going to mess with them. They doing what I'm doing now. But you never know who they might put you in front of. For example, just this past couple of weeks, Jerron placed me in front of a person who owns a juice company. Me and that guy are about to create a partnership that's about to take off. And I appreciate that for him. I mean, I appreciate him for that. But had I not had the connection or been able to speak to him or talk to anybody about it, I probably would have never got that connection. So I think we have to set our pride aside and say, hey, you know what? Let me reach out to Don because I'm not as good as on the business side as I thought I was. Let me see if she can help me out. And like y'all said before, create those safe spaces to be able to talk about it. Because I know me, sometimes I don't want to feel like I'm dumb or, damn, I should have knew that. But I don't want to say nothing because I don't want nobody to be like, damn, the owner of the phone boy, he don't know nothing. So I think just moving forward, the people that's on this platform right now, we have to create those spaces.
I'll hand over the floor to Gigi and just say that that's one thing that we talked about in our episode, Successful Sis, was being able to do quarterly evaluations from a business standpoint, because you have to seek out that feedback from your clients and kind of beat them to the punch. So I'm going to let Gigi speak on that because that was an amazing episode that we did.
All right. Well, from my perspective in business, I like to take the approach of being preventative. So anytime that I give out a product, probably the next day or the next business day, I'm reaching out to my customers to see what their experience is, what their feedback is, so that giving them the opportunity to vent and tell me how they feel, what their thoughts are, it also benefits me. It not only gives them the space to say, what they feel and what they thought, but it's development for myself, because if this one person thought this and they shared that with me, who knows how many other people have had that same experience. So really taking that step back and not taking things personal and looking at the effect that it has overall for a business is going to be key in growth overall. So creating those avenues for the client to even provide feedback. Sometimes that may be through creating like a little survey for your business where you send that out when people make purchases with you, or even taking the step that I do of making those phone calls or sending that text message, just going above and beyond to make sure that experience overall is great is going to be key.
People have such a hard time with criticism, constructive or not, and no matter how it's laid out. As a Black people, how do we get to that space when you're actually listening to the message and letting the message resonate with you versus so focused on how that person said it?
So part of that, and I hate to keep saying it like this, but every time I make a real life example, I think you guys can relate to it. So sometimes we've done it with our parents. We've done it with our exes, ex-friends, or ex-people we've dated. Someone says something to you, and your natural self-defense, sometimes you can't see yourself in that light. You don't like it. You know, someone might have called you, you know, ratchet, loud, angry, whatever the case might be. And if you didn't agree with it at that time, or you didn't see the context from where they were coming from at that time, you took it as a slight, you felt some kind of way. At 33 years old, I've now learned sometimes some of the criticism that I might have been getting, you know, levied upon me in my 20s that I couldn't see or I couldn't understand. As time has progressed, I see it and I understand it. I might didn't like the messenger. I might didn't like the message, but I can understand it and I can hold myself accountable. Unfortunately, it's no different in business. You know, it just takes time. And I hate to keep trying to simplify it like that because I'm not trying to skate over the issue. This is an issue, but that's why I'm trying to call myself in my leadership space, encouraging other Black people. Hey, whether they listened or not, that's not on you. What is on you is to provide the knowledge. It's no different than with money. I hate people that help you and then want to talk about how they help you, right? If you can help a person, you know, Don, if you could give Jennifer, or I think you call him the GBG, if she need a buck or two and you got it, how could you call yourself a Christian lady if you don't give it to her and help her out? I don't think it's any different with critiques. I don't even want to call it criticism, but a critique or a sharing of your experience. Whether the business owner takes it or not, I can't impress this enough on you guys. That is not on you, but it is on you to say something, especially if you're saying that you're about this here. If you really want to see Black people succeed, you cannot hoard information. You cannot hoard things that you know. You need to share those things. It's your duty, not just to help out AKAs, but to help out all young ladies that are trying to make it. If you can help them on bumping their head from anything to college admission, to applying for jobs, to understanding it's okay to be their authentic self, but also understanding the other side of appropriation. You know, you can't go to an interview with all your breasts out. You know, things that maybe the average 21-year-old maybe can't understand, but you now as a woman in her 30s do understand. It's no different with business. This thing is very parallel to life. So I can't stress that enough. And again, not trying to be a butthole about it, but that's just what I think. We just have to speak our truth and we have to move on. I think speaking your truth, support, don't put them down. If you can help them, help them. If they don't see it then, because the Lord has blessed me to see things come full circle. So there have been some times where I've said something to someone and they did not get it. They even cussed me out or treated me poorly, that later they had to come back and eat that crow because I was right and I was really trying to plant a seed and help them. That's just life.
Very good. Okay, the next question that I thought was really important, we got some really good answers, but I just want to ask it once more is how can we make sure that as a Black business, we're providing that quality up front?
Okay, so this was mentioned earlier as far as training, making sure that people are properly trained. And I just wanted to go back and circle around to, I think very often when we start our businesses, a lot of the times we seek help from the people closest to us, typically family. So I'm just thinking about a very specific restaurant in the area that I live in, and it's a family-run business. I've been several times, amazing food, but the quality of service is not great. They have family working at the front, family working in the back, and the person who typically works the front is very rude. So instead of putting someone in front who is a friendly face, who is a welcoming face, they have someone who's not. Went by today and they're closed. So online, I know that they have very, very, very poor reviews when it comes to customer service. The food service is amazing, but I thought about that after we already went over this question of just making sure training is top notch for us, because a lot of the times when we have those negative reviews about our Black owned businesses, most of the time it's about the customer service, the experience, not necessarily always the product. So I just wanted to make sure I touched on that again, like put 2 check marks next to that point.
I don't know if anybody has said this. I'm one of the later people who joined the call, but I think just especially kind of within a time of what it is and just what's going on within the world, I think it's more important now to just get to a space of unifying and I guess, lifting up one another and getting us back to a space where we can get back to our own Black Wall Street and our own Black entire community that's thriving, and being able to take the same, because we are the highest spenders, the top dollars, on any type of product, shopping, whatever it is, being able to take what we earn or what we make and being able to pour back into our people, and kind of just keeping that growing. Just the same way, white people take care of themselves, we can take care of ourselves too and be 10 times more successful. So for me, that's why I think it's more important than anything to just support your own first before you go elsewhere, because we all need some type of help, some type of extension. We're all an extension of each other in some type of way, whether we're a representation for people behind us, we're trying to make a difference from the people of before us, all of those things like that. So
Okay. Well, with that, we are wrapping up episode 4 of Concrete and Blossom podcast. The seed has been planted. That's exactly why. And with that being said, we're going to go blossom forth. And that's exactly why we will start supporting our Black businesses more intentionally. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank y'all.
bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Don the Daw delivers.